Hey, Link, you want to hear a story, but you can't tell Nana.
Those are the best ones.
Don't tell Nana. I got a little thing that happened when I was about, 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. And, Uncle Johnny won't but about 3.5, 4 years, about 3.5, 4 years older than I was. So we were more like brothers. And then his brother, Uncle Ross, and my uncle, Uncle Ross was a big man, about 6'5", weighed about 240 then. And I mean, when he spoke, you listened and you did what he said. And, he worked a public job besides farming. So he left me and Johnny a chore to do one day. And we had to spread fertilizer up and down the cornfield rows.
Okay.
And we were spreading it, and Johnny said, well, I got something else I got to go do. You just go to the other end and spread part of the way, and I'll go to this end and spread part of the way. And I just did what Johnny said. So the next day, when I left Granny's house, and where Johnny stayed too, and went over to Uncle Ross's house, and he said, y'all spread all that fertilizer out? And I didn't say nothing. And Johnny said, oh, yeah, we got it all spread it out. Yeah. And there was fertilizer left over. And Uncle Ross said, y'all know I don't like not being told the truth. And he said, I done walked out across this cornfield, and all y'all did was spread fertilizer out from one end about halfway and the half end. Y'all didn't spread it out in the middle of the field. And he said, I'm going to beat the shit out of both of y'all. And I said, oh, Lord. And he was standing beside a 130 farmall, and he hit the farmall in the top of it. And I mean, he hit it and put a dent in the hood on it. And until the day he sold that thing, he could lay his hand in it. And Link, when he did that, I flew. I left Johnny there with him. I went running. I know, straight up through the cornfield going to Granny's house, Mama's house. And I said, he ain't going to kill me. He ain't going to beat me. So
did you take the fertilizer with you and start spreading it as you went? Oh, no. I'm getting the middle.
I probably should have. So I got over there, and it won't but just a few minutes. I don't know what he did to Johnny, but he pulled up in the driveway, and I was standing out in the yard, and Granny, his mama, come out the door, and he told her what had happened, what he done. He said, I'm going to whoop his ass. I'm going to whoop it right now. And Granny said, oh, no. You ain't going to get that pleasure. She said, I'll handle this. And she sent me out to the switch bush out there and said, God done break me a switch off, boy. And I went out there and this wasn't the first time Granny sent me to the switch bush, because I was kind of a mean, ornery little youngin' and would do stuff I wasn't supposed to. So I know not to break a little switch off that won't going to be good. And Lord, Link, I had a pair of shorts on, and she wore me out. I had whelps on my legs, and you can't do that nowadays, but this was back in the 60s, where if you grew up on the farm, you could get a switching, and I got a switching, and I said, and then after that, we still had to go and put all the fertilizer out.
Yeah,
anyway, I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, so Uncle Ross, I love my Uncle Ross, but when I was a little boy, I was about half scared of him, because he was so big and he was the boss. So you remember?
Yeah, I loved all my uncles, which were Nana's brothers, and but by the time I knew Uncle Ross, he was like a gentle giant.
Oh yeah.
He could still. I mean, the size of his hand, and just he could just wrap it around some piece of equipment and he could twist something off of anything. It's like, oh, I'm gonna twist this cap off of this piece of machinery. It's pretty amazing. And Uncle Johnny was just he was more mouth. He did all the talking. If he wasn't dumping flour on you at the wedding. Yeah, I got fond memories of both of them for that, like that torturous summer I worked in the tobacco fields with all y'all when I was 15, 16. But anyway, yeah, he was a gentle giant, but I think you might have got off better with the switch than if he would have caught up with you before you got to Granny's. Don't you think?
Well, she could lay a whooping on you too. So.
I thought you were going to say, I thought you were her favorite. I thought you were going to tell me that, like, by the time you came back with the switch, Uncle Ross was gone and you didn't get a whooping.
Hey, well, you got both parts right, because I was the first grandson and I was her favorite. There won't no doubt about it. But when you didn't do what you were told to do where they were at, you had to suffer the consequences. So I suffered them and learned. I learned a lesson. I bet I'm 70 years old, and all the years except Uncle Ross died like a year or so ago. You can sure believe I didn't never tell him another lie.
Nope. I
learned my lesson. I told him that I might tell somebody a fib once in a while, but it won't him. I'm telling you.
Oh, don't tell Nana.